What's up, my SpeedAddixx people? What I want to work on today is this here. This is an S14 subframe. If you're not familiar with 240s, the first generation of 240s, which is this body style and the hatchback or the coupe, the S14 is the body style after that. I put like a picture of it like right here or something. But make a long story short, I need to install this in that car. One reason is because, believe it or not, this subframe is considered ½ an inch wider than the factory S13 subframe, meaning that it has better anti-squat. But the most important reason I need to upgrade my subframe is I have a Q45 diff. And with that setup, in the S13 chassis, you're supposed to use the Q45 diff, a Q45 axle, and then you're supposed to use a twin turbo 300Z axle, and you can use that with the combination of Q45 hubs. The reason we're doing that is because all them components are bigger, but also it's good too because that Q45 diff has a 355, 354 final drive, and with a LS automatic, that's actually a good starting point. So let's go over what we got here. We needed to reach out to GKtech, and since this subframe is a ½ an inch wider, we have to replace these bushings with offset bushings. Can you see that? How that hole right there is not centered, it's a little off-centered. I think this is actually like solid aluminum. My main goal is I want no wheel hop and I want everything to be quick. And also, before I install this subframe, I want to stiffen it up a little bit. It may not be necessary, but hey, I like to fabricate, I like to weld. And believe it or not, the same company that makes those conversion bushings actually make a weld-in kit. But you know, over here at SpeedAddixx Garage, man, I like to do stuff myself. One of the first spots is you see this upper, I don't know what exactly it is, but it's kind of like an upper control arm. It's not the adjustable one, but you see how it's got that gap in it? And this is the back bar. So we're gonna probably box that in to add rigidity. Like I said, GKtech, they add a little gusset, so we'll probably like join these two together. Probably leave that alone since that's kind of close to the subframe. I don't think it's gonna have too much flex on it. We'll probably add a couple little winglets here. We'll probably cap this section in to add a little rigidity. Like if you look on the inside, you know, you got like a gap there. I don't know why they welded it here, but they didn't weld it there. So we may go in and weld that stuff up. And there may be a few little spots. I didn't document the process, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I took either manila paper or the filing cabinet folder materials. I've taken that, putting it over a few spots that I know that I want to cut the metal out and weld it into place, and I transferred it to this. All we need to do now is take this, transfer it to some metal, piece of metal I got from work. If you don't have access to stuff like this, it may be more beneficial to buy the GKtech setup. This is kind of like a kind of ideal of what I'm looking at. Set that into place. Then I got this gigantic piece here. And then real quick, I want to add also, this stuff here is maybe like 1/8 of an inch thick, if that. I didn't want to go too terribly thick because I don't think it's necessary. And then I think for this backing plate, instead of welding a big old piece of plate all the way around here and all the way on the inside, I don't think it's necessary. It's gonna be bolted here and bolted there. And I mean, this box tubing is freaking strong. I'm never gonna make enough power that it's gonna freaking move this and this. So what I'm gonna end up doing is putting like some little winglets on it to give it a little extra rigidity. And then this is gonna be like the top winglet, kind of give it a little bit of flair. There's a bunch of surface rust on it. I'm gonna grind all of this back. We'll cut these pieces out. Then we'll prep everything, and then we'll go ahead and start welding all that stuff into place. All right, SpeedAddixx, a few days later, I've already cutting out all of my pieces. So now all we gotta do is prep each one to be welded. And then of course we got to prep everything on this subframe to be welded. I still need to remove a little bit of this pitted rust in some areas, but then we'll go ahead and get the welder ready. But this time we'll be doing MIG welding, not TIG, MIG. joker ain't got not a bit of gas left, so I'm gonna see how far I can get. Another day's passed. We got a good bottle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start welding some of this stuff. I forgot to add a little gusset there, so I cut that piece out and added that. But now we can go ahead and weld a few spots and get a couple of video shots. I am probably gonna weld this up as well. Maybe weld up in this seam here. Maybe do a little bit of reinforcement here, not really sure. But I definitely know that I like this. And we'll see what it'll look like at the finished product. All right, guys, a bottle of gas and a spool of wire later, we are finally done with the S14 rear subframe. All right, the start in the back. Hold on, let me get some light. All right, guys, the start in the back, we got my 4 little triangle winglet pieces. Like I said, I didn't want to put a whole plate over top of the inside. Probably wouldn't hurt anything to do so, but I didn't think it was necessary. I added some weld material in a couple of sections here. Did the same on that side. I hit the inside of this flange. It was just welded on top and bottom. Flip this thing over. I didn't mess with the front half of the subframe. But if you come over here on the side, that's boxed in. That was all open before. Boxed in the lower half there. Use a trusty grinder to kind of smooth it out. Needs a little more work, I don't care. And then we got a little triangle rectangle piece, like a hybrid piece right there, to kind of stiffen up that joint. That came out tasteful. Made this little section here that tied them two together. Then I had a piece of plate that I welded in there, and of course smoothed everything out in the back. That's kind of the look I wanted. I wanted to have that smooth look. If I couldn't TIG weld it, I don't want to see no beads. All right, now that we're done with the welding portion, the next thing to do is to go ahead and install my new subframe bushings. Let me grab them real quick. Wow! We got that GKtech S14 to S13 subframe bushing conversion. It came with some washers, of course the sticker, 5 horsepower, some information if you need to know how to install it. And these instructions basically say the large lip on this thing needs to go on the bottom. So in order to get them things installed, we got to get rid of these old trashy bushings As you can tell, I've already started mutilating this. What we're gonna use to get this out is an air hammer. Make sure you want the flat tip, and then it's a good idea to take this tip here and run it on both sides of something like a drill, or not a drill, but something like an angle grinder or a bench grinder. That way you can get a little sharp edge. And you want to get this in between that bushing and the actual subframe. And so basically you're gonna kind of separate that two, and then you're gonna come down with it. Before we do that, it's also a good idea to somehow drill holes around this rubber bushing, push that out with a hammer or this. And then what we like to do is we go in there with a Sawzall and to cut a slit into this subframe piece here. That way when we use that air hammer to push this assembly out, it'll come out with ease. So now we're to the part where it's time to remove these subframe bushings. As you can tell, I've already removed this one. This is what it looks like. It came out of this section right here. So now that I went ahead and knocked that one out, we need to go ahead and take this one out. So we're gonna use a combination of the drill bit, and the objective here is to drill the rubber around the center section to move the center section out. And then we're gonna use the Sawzall to cut this sleeve right here and then push it out. Lost the drill bit. Hey, you know you can't do no rear subframe bushing mount, insert, installation, setup deal without a little bit of fire. Hey, look at this. This junk is flammable. Oh, yeah, it do say danger, extremely flammable.